All right, let's jump into how you can improve your agility with this one game-changing change of direction technique drill. Let's get into it. Hey, this is Brandon Smitley here from Thirst Gym. Have you ever thought about how can I improve my change of direction technique and performance with minimal return on investment? This one drill that I'm going to show you is going to really teach you how to improve your agility and improve your speed, agility, and quickness in any sport that you happen to do that requires change of direction. Today I'm going to introduce you to the drill called the hip turn or the hip turn drill. This is really popularized by my guy Lee Taft. So if you haven't heard of this drill, make sure you check out Lee's stuff. He is the GOAT when it comes to speed and agility training. But this one drill has improved our athletes' performance and change of direction. So let's break it down. So you're an athlete that happens to have issues when it comes to changing direction or staying low. This hip turn drill is going to teach you how to stay in a nice wide athletic stance, but at the same time being able to change direction to either play better defense or improve your offense depending upon what kind of sport you play and what kind of situation you might be in. The key thing when it comes to change of direction mechanics and being able to improve those is learning to understand to stay low and understand that how we flip and manipulate the hips is ultimately going to depend upon how quickly we can get from point A to point B when it comes to not being in a straight linear line. Let's face it, most sports are not played in a straight linear line. Of course, there are exceptions, but more than likely, if you use something that uses an object or a ball, you're having to chase or defend a particular aspect of your sport. And so by being able to stay low, flip your hips and dissociate your hips from your trunk and what you're doing so that your eyes can always be on the game, but your legs and hips can be doing what they need to do to put you in the right position, this one drill is going to teach you how to do that. So let's break down what the hip turn actually is. To get started here with this drill, what you're going to want to do is make sure you've got your feet outside of your hips. A wide base of support is going to be able to let you cover more ground more effectively, but you're also in a more athletic stance. The next thing that we really want to focus on is what I like to call being in the tunnel. Okay, pretend that you are underneath a tunnel. You want your head and everything as low as you can get it, but so that your hips are still above your knees and your feet are still in a wide base of support. What this is going to let us do is be able to change direction from side to side or be able to sprint. Once we happen to change our feet, we really don't have to move our head position and our torso. The only thing that's changing is our feet. Now, with the hip turn, it's just going to be like it sounds. We're going to start in this athletic position in that tunnel. And what we have to think about here is in sport, especially from a defensive to offensive perspective, like I said earlier, we're going to have to track things with our eyes, with our heads, and see what's going on in front of us. The hip turn is essentially going to keep our upper body nice and straight. Head will be locked on whatever object we have. But for the drill's perspective, our end goal is to have our hips flipped, but our torso still remaining in the same position. So that if I need to be able to change direction, I'm in an optimal place to do that. The last thing I would want to do in this position is to take my foot and move it around and cross over to actually go get to somebody. The crossover run has its steps and procedures that you can use to help you in certain circumstances, but more cases than not, we need to work on the flip of the hip. So what that's going to look like in that position here, I'm going to take my right foot, bring it as far front as I can, as long as I can stay in an athletic stance. Head position is never going to move. I'm not actually going to elevate. I'm always going to stay low. And then my left leg is going to go basically back behind me. So my hips are going to turn to a 90-degree angle while my torso stays straight. So on the clap or the whistle, when I need to do a hip turn, I'm going to boom, here. So head stays low, turn. Still looking at whatever it is in front of me, turn, okay? Now, if you want to implement this twice, you're just going to do the same thing, but come back, boom. You're going to work on flipping your hips as fast as you can. And notice that I'm always nice and wide. At no point am I coming in narrow because that's going to force me to have to change directions up and down. Staying nice and low, flipping those hips gives me the position here. Knee is still inside my foot so that I can actually go to push if I need to do that crossover run, or more effectively, if I need to shuffle after somebody, or if I need to take off in that direction and I'm here, now I can boom, turn, track, and sprint, take off. Or if I want to be able to go that way, same thing, I can turn this way and then I can actually backpedal or chase this person and I can flip my hips the other way to where I can now go that way. It's all gonna come down on what you feels the best for you on what your power leg is. I like to push off my right anytime I want to try to chase somebody. I still have to be effectively able to push through my left, right? But everybody's going to have a dominant leg. If you can use this drill to flip your hips really quickly, again, notice I'm in a good wide stance. I'll do it from this position, good wide stance, tracking something, flip. I'm going to do it twice, flip, okay? So as you can tell, wide base support, always staying in the tunnel, flipping the hips, torso and head are always going to track the object I'm trying to defend or happen to go chase, or if I even got a ball and I need to flip my hips or something, you can be able to do that. So hopefully here you can see how the hip turn can be a viable drill that we use to immediately enhance the way that we can improve our speed and agility and our change of direction. Now, when it comes to implementing a drill like this, you've got lots of different ways you can use this. You can certainly add shuffles and sprints and use this in games, but really just learning how to flip your hips as an athlete is going to take you to the next level. Now, what I'm going to recommend for this drill is if you're not going to add any kind of sprints or anything like that, you're literally going to work on just the flip of your hip, then I would recommend doing this for 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 10 flips per side. Really get used to what it's like to flip your hips, stay in the tunnel, stay low, wide base support, so that when you actually go to use this in sport, you don't have to think about it. It's actually something that's just going to happen automatically. You can implement this as part of your warm-ups if you're a sport coach or an athlete. Use this as a way to get the body temperature elevated, heart rate elevated, work on mechanics at a fresh perspective before you actually have to go do things that are tiring in your practice, because we know that's going to happen. Be fresh when you practice these drills. You can give as much effort and intent to them as much as possible. The next thing I want to recommend is you can then add shuffles and sprints to these to make them more complicated. It's one thing to actually be able to change direction, flip your hips, and be in position, but now if we can implement this drill by adding shuffles and sprints, you'll quickly see that, wow, I can not only change direction faster, but now I know how to implement my sprint mechanics or my shuffle mechanics into this so that I can look and appear and be faster in the drills, in the sports, in the practices, which is ultimately where you want this drill to help you out. So have you happened to hear of the hip turn drills? Is your first time hearing about it? Are you really just trying to level up your speed and agility and change of direction? Hopefully this drill helped you out. If you happen to take something away from this drill, do me a favor, smash that like button, leave a comment, let me know what sport you play, how this might actually help your sport, share it with a friend, a coach, training partner, anything like that. I would really appreciate it. And if you got any questions about the specific drill, just let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to checking you out at the next video.